not written up there, I promise. I didn't do that this time. It's not necessarily, no, it's not a third seat bid.
Pass that seat.
No, it is a fourth seat bid, that's correct.
Borrow king.
It is preceded by 2 passes. In other words, here's a four-person table. If Mike opens, Gretel passes, John passes, Ruth Ann is in the balancing seat. How's the balancing seat different from the direct seat? The direct seat's where Gretel would be sitting.
You bid with a lot less. Yeah. There was
About
some
less, yes. In other words, you can borrow a king from your partner's hand. Now, partner needs to remember that you did that when he's responding, doesn't it? Doesn't work very well if you borrow a king from his hand and he bids the full values. That's called how to go overboard. The other thing to remember is don't hang your partner out to dry because he balanced. In other words, don't get an intelligent look on your face and come alive all of a sudden. After all, you're a past hand. Remember? That's how it ended up being a balancing hand. Why might it be important to balance? Somebody can buy the hand really, really cheaply, right? One heart, pass, pass, pass. You think you're going to do well letting them play one heart? Not generally. It takes a lot to set a one bid, doesn't it? At least it does for me. Let's put it that way. And if they go off in a one bid, what does that mean? That means that you and your partner had something and you needed to bid. So, how to know when to balance? When the opponents have found a fit, that's the key thing. When the opponents have found a fit and they've stopped at the 2 level. Basically, that means they have about half the points in the deck. What does that mean? That means that you have half the points in the deck. If they have a fit, you have a fit somewhere else. 1 heart, pass, 2 hearts, pass, pass, pass. Do we want to let them play in their comfortable little 8-card fit at the 2 level? Not if you can help it. Maybe you have a fit in spades. Or maybe you can make a bid at the 3 level. Guess what happens when they go to the 3 level a lot of times? They go off. They go off a trick. They don't always, but it's worth a push anyway. So, when they found a fit and stopped at the 2 level, you can double for takeout if you can support at least 2 of the suits. In general, you'll be short in the suit that the opponents have bid. But here's a caveat. If you have secondary strength in the opponent's suit, don't balance. Secondary strength. Queen Jack XX, King Jack XX. Too many of your points are tied up in the opponent's suit. After all, you probably don't have more than 9 or 10 points. Mike Lawrence advocates balancing with 6 to 8 points. So you don't want to have a lot of your points tied up in the opponent's suit. The other thing that you need to bear in mind is know the difference between a fit and taking a preference. Everybody know what taking a preference is? When your partner opens, you bid something, he bids a second suit, you go back to his first suit. Are you promising him 3-card support? Nope, you're just saying with equal length in those 2 suits, you're going to take a preference for his first bid suit. Because 9 times out of 10, it's longer than the second one is. So you've taken a preference. There's a difference between having a preference for the first bid suit and finding a fit. Generally, when the responder bids 1 no trump after one of a major suit opening, and then takes a preference to the opener's first bid suit, for instance, 1 spade by Lucinda, 1 no trump by Cynthia, 2 diamonds by Lucinda, 2 spades by Cynthia. When she bid 1 no trump, she denied 3-card support, didn't she? So, you know, right there, they don't have a 5-3 fit. She's just taking a preference to the first bid suit. That's not the same thing as having a fit. So don't be eager to balance in that situation. The key thing to remember is when the opponents have found a fit. Now, there's some different rules for bidding and responding in the balancing seat. And of course, the first question is, well, that's a lot of extra stuff to remember. Why do I need to do this? Well, if you wait to have a full opening hand in the fourth seat, are you going to get to bid very often in that situation? Not generally. And it's been shown that balancing produces good results more often than not. So it's a good idea to work a little bit on understanding balancing. And for your partner to remember, once again, don't hang your partner out to dry just because he balanced. You may not get a good result, but often you do. So, let's talk about something. Yes?
It's not, if they bid, it's not always balancing, though, is it? They have more points.
Well, that's why you bid differently. If you have more points, that's why you start with a double a lot of times. Yeah, all right. Here's an interesting thing. 1 spade pass, 2 spades. Pass, pass, 2 no trump. Does this person have 20 points? No, couldn't possibly. It's past hand, right? Couldn't possibly have 20 points. This says this is takeout for the minors. And it's a very handy bid to know when you're sitting in the balancing seat. It says, partner, I'm at least 4-4 in the minors. Please bid your longer. Here's an example. He bids 3 clubs. These are the 2 hands. Notice he bids his longer minor suit, even though he has a hard suit. The partner bids 2 no trump. He's not saying he has hearts. He's saying, I have the minor suit. He has 4 clubs, 5 diamonds. I'm sorry, 4 diamonds, 5 clubs. He bids his longer suit, and they happen to find an 8-card fit. Is that a guarantee they're going to make the bid? No. But maybe the opponents will compete to 3 spades and go off. You never know. But remember, 2 no trump in the balancing seat is takeout for the minors.
Is the point count different at the end? It's much more point count, obviously.
Pardon me?
The point count for that 2 no trump bid.
No, he passed the first.
Yeah, it's a
Right,
big
so,
past hand.
right, he's past hand, but that's a little more.
This one has 10 points. This hand has 10 points. That's about right for a balancing seat bid. Yeah, that's about right. Especially when it's gone 1 spade, 2 spade, pass, pass, pass. Now, I know a lot of people who write at the top of their convention cards, the only rule that they observe is nobody plays below 2 spades at my table. Well, nobody play. If you have that rule, you'll come out smelling like a rose a lot. But you got to remember, they have to have found a fit. No, it does not have a name. It's just standard bidding practice. It is standard bidding practice. 2 no trump in this seat is never unusual. The unusual 2 no trump is only in the direct seat. Only in the direct seat. And it promises 5-5. Here, this promises only 4-4. And you may get unlucky and hit your partner with 2 doubles, and you play with a 4-2 fit. What happens if you find yourself in a 4-2 fit and you go down to vulnerable? Play the next hand. Just go on. Just go on. Try not to fret. In the balancing seat, 1 no trump is 11 to 14 points, about a king lower than a direct 1 no trump overcall. So what do you do if you have the full 15 to 18 no trump overcall? Double first. Here, this is a perfect 1 no trump in the balancing seat bid. And most people play, or a lot of people play, and statement and transfers are on over that bid. So a partner catches you with 2 jacks, and you have a 5-card spade suit that's 9 high, you can transfer. Doesn't guarantee you're gonna make the bid, but he'll be a whole lot better off in a trump suit. But here, where you have the common garden variety one no trump overcall, you double first and then bid no trump. Now then, here comes something that's just a little bit different. How is this different from this right here? When the opponents have bid and found the fit, 2 no trump here is takeout for the minors. A direct bid of 2 no trump in the balancing seat. If this shows 15 to 18, directly bidding 2 no trump shows 19 to 21. There's been no fit found here. This shows a big hand.
Susan, can you say that, about that example again, and then turn the other way so I can see?
This 2 no trump right here follows 1 spade past 2 spades.
I still can't, I mean,
They found a fit. Here, they found the fit.
Right, okay.
One spade past 2 spades.
Right.
Past 2 no trump by end. Take out for the minors. 1 spade past 2 no trump is 19 to 21.
Which one is?
That's this one right here.
Which I still,
That's that one right there.
I need to move.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see over there. Kind of hard to see. Now then, since 2 no trump is not unusual, if you're holding this hand in the balancing seat, you can't bid 2 no trump to have it mean the unusual 2 no trump. So unless you have a situation like 1 spade past 2 spades, you have to bid your higher ranking suit first. Because 2 no trump is unusual only in the direct seat. Yes, Patty?
When you have the 2 no trump, the one on the bottom where you've got 19 to 21, I would assume you need a stopper in their spades.
Yes. All no trump bids promise at least 1 stopper. And if it was, in the event of a suit like a 2 spade opening, you might want to have 1.5 or 2 stoppers. Especially for no trump overcalls in the direct seat even. A 1 no trump overcall in the direct seat is one of the most dangerous bids in bridge. That's because your left-hand opponent knows what your right-hand opponent has, but you don't know what your partner has. Your partner could be completely broke. This fellow right here, if Debbie overcalls a no trump, this fellow right here has some points he's going to put down the double card. And she shouldn't be surprised to see her partner put down the classic 1 jack or 2 jack hand. That's why the 1 no trump overcall is fraught with peril. You need to be really, really sure that that's what you want to do, especially if you're vulnerable. Because this person knows what his partner has. So, you do not. You don't know whether the points are equally split between the remaining 2 opponents, or whether you're the remaining 2 players, or whether your other opponent has the bulk of them. It's a crapshoot, in other words. I've been burned enough to be really leery about that. So tuck that in your brain and remember.
Is that why some agreements have you won't do that unless you're doing like 16 to 18 instead of 15 to 17?
I like to be on the upper end of the 1 no trump overcall if I'm going to use it. If I have 15 and I have a biddable suit, I'm liable just to overcall a suit. So,
Or would you double?
pardon me?
Or would you double?
Depends on my shape. If I have a stop and sufficient cards in the opponent's suit, no. I have to be short in the opener's suit to use a takeout double. And often a 1 no trump overcall is not short in the opener's suit. So, in general, I don't double with a hand that would qualify for a 1 no trump. Is that clear as mud?
Yeah.
Susan, would you repeat that again? To do a takeout double, you need to be
short and.
In the opener suit, yes, that's standard definition of the takeout double in the direct seat. And even in the balancing seat, you need to be short in the opener suit. Otherwise, how does your partner know what you have? He doesn't. That's the standard definition of the takeout double. I know that's not what used to be played. It used to be you just double to show an opening hand. These days, the takeout double is used only when you're short in the opener suit. And if there is an unbid major, you virtually guarantee 4 cards in that unbid major. Yes, Debbie?
I have 2 questions. One's Michael's is still on.
Well, that's a matter of partnership agreement. Did everybody hear her question?
No.
She says Michael's is still on in the balancing seat, is it not? That is partnership agreement. Some people play that it is, others play that it is not. I happen to play either way. So, but you and your partner need to work that out.
So when you double in the balancing seat, your partner doesn't know.
He doesn't know, but he'll know on your next
But
bid.
if the partner has like 9 points and jumps to 2.
No, you don't. Well, if he has 9 points, he has to remember that partner has bid your values. He may be balancing. It may be a balancing double. You don't know yet. So you don't jump in response to that takeout double with 9 points. You need to have 12. Remember, subtract that king that was borrowed from your hand. You've got to subtract that king that was borrowed from your hand.
You just jump in.
Yes, exactly. The point ranges change when bids are made in the balancing seat because the balancer bids on fewer points. That make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know when to quit while I'm ahead, right? So, one day, 3 men were out fishing, and one of them hooked a mermaid, and they pulled her up into the boat. And she said, if you guys will let me go, I will give you each a wish. And they said, okay. She turns to the first guy and he says, I want you to double my intelligence. Poof. He starts reciting Shakespeare's Macbeth. The next guy says, oh, well, hey, I want you to triple my intelligence. Poof. He starts quoting Einstein's equations on the theory of relativity. The third guy says, well, I want you to quintuple my intelligence. The mermaid says, well, all right, but you may not like the results. He says, I'm up for it. Do it. Poof. She turns him into a woman.